Back, everyone. Of course, we're on our last lap of the program, and we can now reveal our artist of the week. Drum rolls, are you pleased? She's known as Sunday Ginika Nweke, but more popularly known as Masterkraft.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that means he crafts all sorts of things.
All sorts.
He's a Nigerian record producer, disc jockey, band director, pianist, and songwriter. He started his professional music career with Kennis Music and has worked with artists such as Flavor, Bracket, Banky W, Sound Sultan, Timaya, Lynx, MI, J Martins, and the list goes on and on.
Thanks for joining us this morning, Masterkraft.
Thank you guys for having me.
How's it been?
It's been okay. God is good. It's a good time for our music right now. It's a good time for Afrobeats, especially in the diaspora. So it's a good time.
Okay, I caught a wind that your interest in Afrobeats is legendary. Tell us about it, your foray into it, and how it's been from your own perspective.
Basically coming all the way from the 2010s, coming from being a church keyboard player to being a producer, to linking up with like the EME, being one of the major people who recorded, and produced Whiskey's first album.
Wow.
Also being one of the
That would you like the album?
Yes.
Wow.
Being one of the people who also kind of has influenced the music industry so much, especially from the sound aspect, being a mentor to lots and lots of producers that are now popping. So it's a good time. It's been a good ride so far.
When did you know, for instance, that a native of Enugu State, born in Lagos, would become a legendary music producer?
I think anything that has to do with anybody being legendary is up to the universe. It doesn't necessarily require the person's, foreknowledge, even though at some point the person will be kind of troubled to always want to stir up the water. So, but I feel like, I wasn't always paying attention to just being legendary. Up until this day, I'm more concerned about my ability to be able to still create.
What interested you in music? Music first, then music production?
I think music first. Whatever interested me was sort of like a gift, because everyone in my house kind of does music. My mom is a prophetess. My dad used to play percussions in church. And before we knew it, my elder brother started playing keyboard. My twin sisters, they sing in church. So it was kind of around the family.
You used to play keyboard in church.
I used to play keyboard in church and play drums. So it started like that. I think along the line, as at that time, things wasn't so perfect for my family at the time, so I had to, assist my mom in kind of hawking. I used to do pure waters on the express,
Wow.
And one funny day, I had to go play in the church. So when I got to the church, my drummer was not available. So I decided to program drums on the keyboard so that the praise and worship can, go well. And then someone saw me doing that and I was like, please, I want you to go and produce for me in the studio.
Wow.
I got no could start up.
Yeah, but that singular act has led you to the Leadership newspaper ranking you 8th on its 2014 list of top 10 music producers in Nigeria. In August 2015, a year later, Nigerian Entertainment Today ranked you 7th on its list of Nigeria's top 7 biggest music producers at that moment. Then, of course, this day newspaper listed you as one of its top 10 music producers in Nigeria. So, that singular moment led you to, and I'm sure there have been other accolades since then.
Definitely.
So, what were your thought processes when you began to, get recognition for your work?
I think at that point I just had to now tell myself that okay, it's now happening. Because initially it was like a joke in my own mind, look, I just see something we will give my daily 2K, Then at some point I noticed that okay, it was just more than just being a producer now. This is almost like something that God has, puts as a responsibility on your head to be able to now use you to change whatever is happening over time. So I had to now get into the picture. Like I used to say, I don't think Masterkraft is a person, Masterkraft is a spirit, and I call it the spirit of excellence. So I'm just grateful to body that name. So that's it.
I'm still interested in that beginning story. So who was it that said, come produce for me in the studio?
It was a lady. Then she used to sing praise and worship.
Oh, right.
So she called me then that I should come and produce for her. I said, I'm not a producer, I'm just a, see this one I do for church, now I feel do it. She's like, okay, yes, no problem, just do that one. So I went to that studio day. Then the sessions used to be 8 hours. So she made me, because she wanted to save so much money, she made me make 8 songs. That means 1 song per hour.
Wow.
And then she paid me a heavy sum of 500 naira at that time.
Yeah.
So that 500 naira was like the killer for me at the time. I said, coming from a Jogunle, I used to go and sell pure water and stuff on the street. And as at the time, my family did not have the capital to do that business. So we would go get the water. After selling, we will return the cost price. So imagine running around for 1 bag of pure water only to make 15 naira as your own gain. So imagine something that will pay you 500 naira and you do not have to go to the sun.
Wow.
So for me, that was like a game changer. I just went back and I said, Mama, I don't see anything with the game money.
And how well did she receive it?
My mom, obviously, she, as a woman that wanted the family to go further, she could not see it clearly up until one day I went to play in church, and then my senior brother used to be the major guy. So he traveled, and then they were like, the younger brother, they play, make una go carry him. So I went there, I played, and it was just madness. Everyone was like, don't they play too? So some people started dashing me money in church.
Oh, wow.
And because it's a community, I jigging the way I grew up is like a community. So before I go reach house, the news don't reach out, say then give some money. So when I gave him, I just cornered my dad, and I said, see, this thing they worry me every day. See, I they always go church, go sleep, I they always go na VG, I they always go do music, see what thing don't come out to. And once my dad saw that, I called my mom, and I sat me down and said, from today, anywhere this boy wants to go with this music, please let him go.
So that's how when you decided to go professional.
Yes.
Which was your first professional experience?
My first professional experience as a music producer was more on the gospel music side. I used to be the producer for an artist called Tim Godfrey.
Okay.
On the Extreme Crew.
Yeah.
From Tim Godfrey, I started now working with God rest his soul, late Samuel Boso, producing for him. That's how he started.
And that's no 500 naira gig.
That's not 500 naira. That was obviously not 500 naira. So that's why it started out for me. And then on that journey, I started working with Kenny's music.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. Which of the songs can you remember with Kenny's music?
From Kenny's music? I can remember Facebook Love.
Okay.
I can remember Feel a Bear by J1.
Feel a Bear, just
really? Feel a Bear.
Okay.
I mean, look, there's at that time we also used to produce for whoever won the Star Quest. So there was a song called Sote Sote Sote. I also made that one.
Wow. And
lots of other songs like that.
Okay. So at what point did you come across the Starboy?
Oh, Whiskey.
Please.
Okay, yeah. So then, when I was working with Ken's music, there was a song that we made with the group that won Star Quest at the time, and they wanted to feature Emma and his brother Jesse Jag. So they came to the studio, and when they heard the beat, they were like, "No, this beat is downloaded. Who made this beat?" And I was busy sleeping in the sitting room because I was tired. So they now came and woke me up. So when Emma came in, he answered he wants to see the data of the instrumental. So I opened and he saw, we made this music. I said, yes. So then I didn't know that at that time he was already messaging, calling Banky W that, Banky, I've seen the guy you need.
Wow.
And Banky does R&B at the time. So Banky, I've seen the guy you need. So I was busy recording and I saw my phone constantly ringing. And then, because I could not pick because I was recording, when I now saw a text coming on my phone, and I saw that this is Banky W, call me, hit me up on you. So I told them I wanted to go myself, and I went outside and I went to jog first.
It was a shock, right?
It was a big shock for me to know that, okay, Banky W. And then the next day, Banky came, and then 15 minutes we had knocked out the track, and Banky was so excited to work with me.
What song was it?
There's a song called Can't Stop Me.
Okay.
Yeah, at the time. So Banky was so excited that, I made that with him. Then the next thing, I was now fond of working with him. He called me up. I used to always go to the house. And then one day he calls me and says, there's 2 boys that he wants to, pay attention to and invest in. He wants them to go to school, and after school, they will focus on their music. And that's how he introduced Wizkid and Scales to me.
Wow. They're the ones he was focusing on.
Yeah, so then that's how I got to be a part of the EME family, and I was the music director for EME. I would usually take time out some weekends to tutor Wizkid or Scales, whoever was free in school at the time, tutor them on how to sing well. During rehearsals, I'd be like, hey, turn off your phone, you have to focus. I was like the big brother to them.
What do you know? Wow.
So what song did you work on with Scales and Wizkid that you remember?
At the time, it was inside the what's it called, the Wizkid album. It's called EME Boys.
Okay.
Yes, and then I did the Uju Olegbashita, Ask Your Sister, My Music Tribe with No Visa.
I remember that song.
And I literally also helped with the recording of almost all the other songs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
What the Igbo man will call, you'll be big boy. But now, I see that you are interested in legacy, because now you are thinking about moving some of your knowledge into other people's lives, through music workshops and all of that. But before we go to that one, your excitement about Afrobeats, what exactly is it that tickles you about Afrobeats?
I think the major trigger for me with Afrobeats is the fact that we grew up not knowing how valuable what we had is. Like, imagine sitting in a room. I remember then when I signed my artist CDQ, we would literally be sweating in a room, and then the only way we could console ourselves in that moment is to tell ourselves that my inside hits, they make hits.
Wow.
With the sweat, but no AC, no anything, but we will tell ourselves in the inside. So coming from a place where I can literally sit down in my room and just be hitting something, playing some things with a headphone, and then I release it and it becomes something that I can hear in New York, I can hear in China, I can hear in India. That's the killer for me. That's what gives me more joy with our music.
So when you see a Scales, a Wizkid, all over the world, how do you feel?
It's an amazing feeling, because, like I said, we couldn't see this moment now back in the days. So everything we had was just fate.
There's no way of watching it. Doesn't like it.
I think the only person that maybe had a glimpse of something like this, I would say Wizkid, because when we were growing up, Wizkid was always a weird person mentally. Like, his mindset and his physical nature is no way in the same frequency. Like, I was last year, and I'm like, he's a small boy. But then the things he says wows me. Like, just imagine every time we used to work in the studio then, and then he wants to take a break. I would follow him out to the backyard, and then maybe after some minutes he'll start telling me that, boss, I could be very big superstar, we would change everything, we'll do this, we'll do that. And in my own little mind at the time, coming from a church, as a church boy, we would say, we now miracle, we believe in. I would look at him and I'd be like, this boy, I hope so he knows the talk shy, but I wouldn't say it out. I would just agree with him by, verbally by faith. That's I believe he won't get down. We do
being
together.
in the church and saying it's miracles you believe in. You never know that. I mean, it probably was just the way of God performing that miracle.
Actually,
because you spoke about your humble beginnings and how you were always you served in church. You were service, and as a reward, I mean, you started with gospel and then you branched out and all that. It's fine. When people will say, oh, they always start in church, those people, and then they end up. But hey, if you give back to God and you do that, it helps. And then I'll give you an instance of Wizkid probably didn't really know that his words too carried weight. Anytime there was a time, some of my family members in the US, when you go and visit them, they grew up in Surulere, Juelegba area. when they gather on Sunday after church and after lunch and they watch YouTube, is Wizkid. They've been in the US for like 15, 20 years. So they've been listening to Wizkid, listening because they're reminiscing on home.
The feeling of home. Yeah.
They don't even listen to the American music songs. They listen to local music stars. That's what and it just got me good thinking that,
we always had
these, yes.
We always had something. I think that's the case, the point you're making. We always had something.
Yes.
In the 80s, it was old school music until the late 80s.
Yes.
And then in the 90s, many Nigerians began to produce and listen to Nigerian music. Those were the heydays of the Nweke and Welus, the Felix Lebatis, and the rest of them like that. But I'm happy that you see a need for legacy. To tell us about how you intend to go about it, because this music workshop thing, many people don't even know that there is a vision behind it.
There's a big vision behind it, because now I think one of the challenges we are now running into as a people, as a nation with our music, is the fact that now the foreign investors are coming in, which in one way or the other is pushing us away from the authenticity of our music because of whatever they need to hear to be accommodated in their own system.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a proper structural system here that can sell our music to our people. We would still depend on Apple Music, we would still depend on Spotify and all of that, and there's no way we can do it without doing what they would want their people to see to keep the platform
just like
running.
The movie industry too.
Exactly. So so that kind of gave me like a burning desire again, because over the years I've been blessed to have made lots and lots of hit songs. I've touched almost every genre. Like the same way we work for Wizkid, when we work for Flavor, and the sound no go resemble. Like it will be different. Like same when we work for another person and the sounds are very, very, like I'm very, very versatile with what I do. So I thought about it, and obviously I'm not God who can be visible or active in everywhere at the same time. I'm just one person who can be active here. So I noticed as I grew up and as I met more challenges, that I cannot meet up the production need of everybody that we want me to. And I feel like God has given me something special in that area. So I just thought to myself that it was time for me to pour more into people now, so that we can have more and more people who can create the music idea, because there's a lot of fantastic fantastic artists, but at the end of the day the production is not leveling up to what it's supposed to be, because I feel like our music is the number one music in the world right now. So I thought to myself that it was necessary for me to, branch out and give, all the knowledge that I've gathered over the years for us to be able to, build the young ones coming now.
Because really, I agree with you that the young generation need a lot of mentoring in that space.
Yeah. Obviously, because I think that's one of the major things. I also I did a documentary that's on YouTube. I was targeting that, because it's like saying, the consciousness of your position kind of affects what you do. Like I will always say, I'm not a blessed music producer, irrespective of everything I've been able to get as a producer. I'm a blessed man that is producing music. It's a different perspective. So that perspective shift is what I've been trying to imbibe into the young people's mind.
How do we sustain culture? Because there is a lot of talk about shifting the culture now. People, good thing you are a church boy, as they will call you, but there are a good number of people who believe that until they do those lewd music, they won't have a hit, which is against the original culture, the original African culture. Is there a way that you will address this through this?
Definitely. I have a way of addressing that, especially with my upcoming seminar, because I will always say, there is no way you can function outside the knowledge of where you are coming from. Literally just thinking about it, a young man does not spend so much time with his father. They are always at loggerhead, so the boy, they try to find the own way. Listen about him, Papa. Talk more of knowing something about his grandfather. So obviously this guy now gets to a point, he starts to manifest things. that he's now scared. It's worried. He doesn't know who to talk to because he no say maybe that thing in the exhibits come from 3 generations before him.
Yeah.
So maybe that would have answered a lot of questions, but he now goes ahead, struggle with those questions, and still pass on, and in Peking still no one. So I feel like first things first is getting people educated about, okay, who are you? Where are you from? What do you think is inspiring this? So with that, the music sound can change. Things like can change.
Well, there's so much to do. Okay, well, I'm guessing that this is your workshop.
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. All right, we definitely will get there somewhere. Well, thank you very much. Okay, well, the website I think is Masterkraft Music.
Yes, Masterkraft Music.
Okay, just find Masterkraft Music. You'll be able to find out about that. Well, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you so much.
Sunday, Guinea Kachuku Nweke. Did we pronounce the name right?
Obviously, you did. The Guinea Kachuku, perfect.
Guinea Kachuku. What does it mean?
Nothing past God.
Oh yes, well, you can attest to that.
Masterkraft, Nigerian producer, DJ, band director, pianist, and songwriter. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay.
And we appreciate your time out there. We can see ourselves.
Yeah, well, she's also a producer, but not just music. Amaya Makinde, enjoy the rest of your weekend.
I'm Joke Rogers. See you next week.